All right, Joel Gausten here from joelgausten.com. I am recording this on the morning of Saturday, October 12th. I note that date because it's relevant to the timing of this conversation with my next guest, who, first of all, I'm very, very relieved to see on the other side of my screen, which means he's safe. Coming to me from the state of Florida, Mr. Nasty Ronnie. Ronnie, man, good to see you. I'm glad you're okay.
Hey Joel, man, it's good to be here with you, brother, on this beautiful Saturday morning in Tampa, actually Brandon, Florida.
Excellent, excellent. Well, first of all, as you just said it, man, you're down in Florida. There's been a hell of a lot going on with you guys the last few days with these terrible hurricanes and storms hitting. First and foremost, to get this out of the way, how are you? How's the band? How's your family? Is everybody good?
Well, my house is out of power for about 4 days, but luckily through the storm, we didn't have any damage. Unfortunately, our jam room where we practice is owned by Pete, our guitarist, who's a nothing but a blue collar, hard working guy who's earned everything and worked hard for what he's got. A guitarist, who buys his gear, and we practice at his jam room. And it had almost 4.5 to 5 foot of water inside the jam room and destroyed almost everything in there, including the drums, amps, bass cabinets, and a lot of personal items and just cool stuff all over the place. And they started a GoFundMe for that, and people can go to a Nasty Savage band on Instagram. There's a link there, or they can go to Nasty Savage Metal Nights is a Facebook group. And times like this is when people come together, and it sucks for the whole band, but really I feel the worst for Pete because every band he's ever been in, he's always had the jam room, and it's his more than anything. It's Pete's personal stuff, and it's just heart wrenching. And there's pictures that I can send you or post of him with a kayak getting his Marshall stacks out of there, and it's just a terrible thing. And then we had the passing of Kurt Beeson this week too. Curtis Beeson, our original drummer, who was on all the Nasty Savage albums except the new one. And God rest his soul. He's been battling a brain tumor for more than 11 years. He's a hell of a fighter, and he lost his battle last week, and it's just a bad situation. And now the storm hits. So we just have to overcome, but we can never forget the legend of Curtis Beeson, the Shark himself. No other drummer like him I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And had we done this interview a week ago, the conversation would have been much, much different. There's so much that's happened just in the last 7 days. It makes you realize, number one, life is precious. And number two, life can change in a heartbeat. As far as the jam room, I wish all of you guys well in recovering from that. I will absolutely include all the links in the video description so people can donate to help out Pete. And of course, Kurt's a legend in the world of metal. I was very sorry to hear of his passing. I know he had been ill for some time. So my best to, of course, his friends and loved ones, and that guy's not going to be forgotten. There's a lot of people who really loved his playing, and he'll always be honored and remembered in the world of metal. Absolutely. So my condolences to you all.
For sure, man. And just like in the song or the new album, Jeopardy Room, Southern Fried Homicide, there's lines in that have a lot of meaning. And it's a joy and sorrow today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time? So it's really just saying joy and sorrow, man. You deal with it. You got to move on. But the biggest crime is the waste of time, man. So if you're going to do something, get out and do it. Be productive, produce, give value, and no, nothing's. We can't take anything for granted in life, man. Give value to the ones you love, and when you have a new project, when you have anything to do, uh, joy and sorrow today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time?
Yeah, right on. And obviously that's relevant to why we're talking. the fact that you mentioned Jeopardy Room, the new Nasty Savage album. So that would obviously be the positive side of the coin of everything going on lately. First of all, I love the record, which is why I wanted to connect with you anyway before all this other stuff happened. Um, and it's the first Nasty Savage album in 20 years. Do I have that right?
20 years. Yeah.
20 years. So let's start there, man. What
Right.
accounted for that kind of a gap between records?
Well, we did the Psycho Psycho album after we were broke up already after Penetration Point little tour we did, actually 60 shows in 65 days with DRI. And that was around early 90s, 91, 92. I went into pro wrestling and I got a job at Universal Studios. I co-produced 200 episodes of the IWF wrestling. That's
Mm.
where I got a background in TV and marketing and talent relations and all that. I took my character Nasty Ronnie into wrestling as Nasty Ronnie, the evil manager for the Nasty organization. So I was doing that and balancing that stuff, working real hard and focused. And then in '96, I started a TV show called Born to Ride, a motorcycle show, because I was a biker and I said, man, there needs to be a documentation of the biker lifestyle, magnify the greatness of bikers and, you know, it's the life and times of motorcycles and the people who ride them. So I went ahead and started my own TV show, Born to Ride, and I went on to do that for 28 years. I produced 1,340 TV episodes. In the meantime, I started a magazine, Born to Ride, and I'm a publisher as well, and I'm still doing that today. I took the TV show off the air 2 years ago, but I did 1,340 episodes, so that's a body of work. This month is my 250th uh, magazine, so I'm still publishing. But in the meantime, we're doing Nasty Savage. We broke up, did Universal, came back to do this Psycho Psycho album out of the blue because a real Nasty Savage fan who was working with Ben on Gardy Lou projects and Lowbrow was a big fan. And when I met him, I said, Dave, man, we should just do a Nasty Savage. And he said, oh, yeah, let's do a Savage album. And the dude just paid us a bunch of money to go record it. And then he paid for the recording too. So, I mean, we actually got together and wrote songs and David was still living in David Austin was still living in Tennessee, so he was doing it long distance, and we just all the first time ever we just wrote and got into the studio and recorded. We had a big budget. We didn't have a time frame, so we did good, and I really love that album. Um, but the only thing is, after it was done, there was no marketing promotion or anything, so we just kind of faded away, and that's why a lot of people don't even know about that album.
Mhm.
And then, about 3 or 4 or 5 years later, started getting calls from some promoters and this and that, and wanted to get Nasty Savage again. I'm like, damn. We did do a couple of comebacks before that, and after Psycho Psycho, we did go to Germany and played a couple of shows. The local news was in my office one day doing a story on motorcycles and saw these pictures on the wall. He said, "What is that?" And I said, "Dude, it's my band. We're actually getting back together. We're going to go to Germany." He goes, "Oh, no way! That's a great story." And if anybody wants to check that out, it tells the whole story of Nasty Savage. It ended up to be a 12-minute piece on 30-minute news. It was unbelievable on national, on a local news. That was a big time ABC. If you just Google Nasty Savage Channel 10 News, there's a lot of information there. And the story it tells while everybody was still in the band around the Psycho Psycho time, I guess it was. Yeah. So anyway, David Austin heard that I was trying to put a band back together. He said, dude, I'm in. And then we picked up Pete Sykes and Jim was a drummer, Jim Coker. And then Richard Bateman got back on playing with us, the bass player of Penetration Point and Psycho Psycho. And, we did some shows here and there. And then Richard bowed out. Not much was going on. Then unexpectedly and tragically, Richard Bateman passed away. So that was really bad. And we picked up a new bass player, Scotty Carino, which was played in Death and Fester, a really talented guy. So we started jamming and we were playing shows. And through about 4 or 5 years. And then David, after we played Mexico City 2 years ago. After that show, David quit. He said, "Man, I'm done. Everything's cool between us, but I'm just tired." So he was out. And at that time, I think he thought, "Oh, that was the end of Nasty Savage." But I was like, "Dude, there's still another chapter to do, man, and I want to do another album." But all my guys they're told, "Oh, Ron will never do another album. Ron will never do another album." And we actually worked on some demos while Dave was still in the band, but we never finished them, having to shop around at a time where labels just aren't signing a lot of people, and it's hard for labels to make money. It's a hard time in the industry right now. So a friend of mine, Frank from FHM Records, has a house. He's from Germany, has a house down in Port Charlotte or Cape Coral, it is. Anyway, he has a Harley and likes to ride. So he'd come up once a while in a year. He'd go over there, and he'd come up to Brandon, and we'd go riding. I'd take him all the back roads and really cool places. And he started working with the band Siren, a Brandon band, which is he was a big fan of as well. Ed Aborn is a good friend of mine. So I was introduced to Frank then. Past before that, anyway, we became friends, and he was a diehard Savage fan. So one day he's coming over to go riding, and I said, "Just come over the night before, stay at my house. Next morning, we'll get up and we'll ride." So that morning I made him this big breakfast, and I'm like, "Hey Frank, we just need to do a Nasty Savage album, man." He said, "Hey Ron, that would be a great idea." I said, "All right, well, let's freaking do this shit." Anyway, we went riding, and we're on the other side of the state, about 200 miles or so, sitting at a Beef O'Brady's. I pull out the napkin, and we start jotting down some ideas, and just then I said, "Yeah, man," I said, and you know what? I'm gonna re-record the song "Which Is Sabbath" from the demo tape, and I'm gonna get John and Donald Tardy Obituary to be on it, and that's gonna happen. I was telling him, and he's like, "Oh, that would be great." And we already had one song called "The Six Finger" that we were playing live that we wrote. So that showed that we had some new energy and some new life. He was like, "Let's do it, man." And then so once he said that, I was able to tell the guys, "Hey man, we're gonna do an album, so start writing some music." And then we had a timeline. It was October, and now it's October now. Within that 1 year, we completed everything because the goal was to get it done with the vinyls printed, pressed, everything, so we could play at Keep It True Festival in Germany, which just happened. And we just went there where Frank had a big booth. The record was available. It fucking sold like hotcakes, man. It was the hype of the thing, man. It was like really cool. There was an autograph session there about 3 hours before we played, and we were supposed to just do it for only 30 minutes. We were there for 90 minutes, and we still didn't even get half the people who had records and, demos and just all the stuff that wanted to meet and greet us. So it was really cool. The new guys actually felt the real impact of a big festival like that, a big show, big people, big stage, everything to go with it, but also the impact of the fans' passion, who really appreciated and felt the impact that Nasty Savage had on their lives. So it was really good that we met the deadline. Now going back to the songwriting and all that, man, it's like I just told the guys, I said, "Look, don't worry about the past. I want it like the $6 million man shit, bigger, faster, stronger, heavier. Just do your thing." Because these guys they're more shredders. They're more into death metal and stuff like that. They're younger. They're still Savage fans, so they wanted to keep it true to Savage, and they knew they had big shoes to fill, and we all did. And I'm like, "Dude, please don't worry about that, man. We can't go back. I can't go back in time. All we have is now." I said, "I want you guys to produce some killer shit." And I'm not a musician. I'm just a singer, songwriter, whatever, a performer. So I just left it in their hands, man. And I had total faith in them. And Pete wrote 4 songs, and Dave wrote 4 songs, and Dave was in Alabama. So we're going back and forth with Messenger, and I never practiced in the studio any of these songs or jam room before we played because I was busy writing and writing and writing. But what I would do is I'd say, "Dave, I've got this song. It's called Brainwasher. It just needs to be fucking heavy, man. Brainwasher, brainwasher. Give me some big, real killer leads, and I need good rhythms, and I just need something, and maybe even something more accessible than the past Nasty stuff. Something more easy to just thrash to, or something easier. And I go, I'm going to sing more mid range. I'm going to be right to the point. We had a small budget. We recorded this whole album in eight sessions,
Mm.
mixing, mastering everything, 8 sessions. So now some of those sessions might have been 14, 15-hour days, but we went back to Morrisound Recording Studio to do it where it all began. And so what I would do, I'd inspire them with song titles. That's what I never did that before. I always waited to get the music, and then I put song titles to the music. This time I said, I'm gonna be more involved. I want to give you the song title, and I want you to create something around those titles. And I said, Pete, I've got this song title called Schizoid Platform. So it's got to be levels of platforms of schizophrenia, psycho shit. Give me that feeling. So he comes back and he goes, "Well, I got this song. It's got the slow parts and this and that at the beginning where you could sing this creepy shit, and here. So now I get the canvas, a blank canvas, and that's when I go back to my research volumes that I put for that title. I have a bunch of words for it, phrases, rhymes, whatever it is. I got it all on pages just for that one. And then it's like a blank canvas, man. It's like I got a brush in my hand. It's time to paint the painting, create like Picasso or something. And then I got my philosophical words that are mixed emotions of philosophy or psychology, or just things that are going to interrupt your mind, I hope, and make you think, or maybe make you read between the lines to figure it out. So I come up with Schizoid Platform. It's red cloak clowns looking down, humanoid, avoid the void, corrosive minds, divide the night, hell avato, mondo bizarro. It's like, damn, I always wanted to say mondo bizarro in my notes. I said, I can't wait to use this in a song. And the whole fucking thing is Mondo Bizarro. This whole album is Mondo Bizarro. And it's just cool as hell. And actually, on that song, we had a guest come in, um, a guest, Jerry Outlaw came in, and he did a lead on Schizoid Platform. He did one on Brainwasher, and he did one also on Sixth Finger. And he's a guy, a real killer guitarist, man. He plays with John Oliva and Savatage after Chris Oliva died. And he's on tour with him sometimes so he's a good guitarist. So we're just honored to have him, Jerry Outlaw. We're really honored to have him part of this record. But each song we dove in that way, and I just work with him, and I'd get the song, and I'd say, look, tell me when to start, stop, chorus, start, stop. That way I had my real blueprint, and then I could really focus on my words, because I'm a word man, not a bird man.
Right. There you go, man. There you go. You mentioned keep it true. And that leads me to a question because I know a lot of metal guys in America who, you know, have a following, but they're, generally club guys. They play clubs in whatever city they're based out of. But they go overseas and they play Keep It True. And, they'll do other shows around that. And it's massive for them. They have such a welcoming, very similar to the one that you guys experienced. What do you think it is about the European audience in particular that seems to be so hungry and so appreciative of heavy metal? Whereas in America, it's always been more of a cult thing, but over there, it really seems to be a phenomenon, even to this day.
I mean, I think metal fans everywhere have that passion, the loyalty, the camaraderie. It's so wonderful how they care for each other and pick each other up no matter what's going on, even if the one doesn't have any beer money or can't get a ticket. So metal fans universally are just, they're sort of like the biking community. It's a parallel, man, of people who care about each other. They help each other, and they're very passionate about what they do. the Europeans are, and I'm talking about when we were there, it was a celebration of 40 years of Nasty Savage. So it was really a special thing that was planned a year ago, and all that came true. And I tell you what, the time went by really fast to record, get the vinyls done and the artwork. I had to do the layout with the guy who does my magazine. I had to get the artwork. There's a lot of stuff that goes down. But the fans themselves, I feel the Europeans more than anything, and the South American fans too, are so passionate that they'll be metal till the day they die. They'll be wearing leather spikes and cranking metal till the day they die. So they're very passionate. But and the coolest thing about it, man, is I was talking to a guy yesterday in an interview from Croatia, and the other day a guy from India, by where the Taj Mahal is and shit. And I was talking to a guy from New York, and I'm talking to you today. And what brings us all to this conversation, no matter what we look like or where we're from, or it doesn't matter what color we are or what religion or what politician we like, it doesn't matter because the music has brought us together, man, and I can testify on that. It's such a powerful moment. We need to just celebrate the moments we have now, and that's what I say when I'm on stage. I said we can never take this night back. Let's celebrate. Can I testify? We're together right now, and we're gonna take you back, way back, to some old school metal. Get ready for it. It's so stuff like that. And then is everybody in? Is everybody in? Nasty. And they go, Savage. So it's just that universal power, man. It's unbelievable. And I mean, there's people from Spain, Bahrain, Italy, Poland. I mean, they were there with their records and shit. And there are people who most of them speak English too, man. They're so smart. And we're so dumb because we just speak English, and sometimes we go, "Oh, that guy, this and that." Damn, they're speaking more than one languages, even like Latinos or Mexicans here in Florida. I'm like, dude, that dude's speaking two languages. What are you talking about? So it's just incredible, the human spirit. It's the human spirit of joy, man, and joy and sorrow today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time? It's amazing. It's amazing the power you get from people. And when before I was in a band, uh, I was collecting a lot of new wave British heavy metal and like Holocaust, Angel Witch, and we started playing some of them. Venom came in, and all this, and then Metallica, Slayer on the West Coast, and Exodus, and then all of a sudden Anthrax, and Overkill, and we weren't really starting yet, but Kiss and Ozzy or Maiden and Priest and those guys, they would come to the Lakeland Civic Center, and we'd go there and wait when they get out of their bus before, after they go into the hotels, and we'd have our records or magazines and stuff to sign. And man, they would stop and take a moment or two or just hang out with us, and they would sign our stuff, man. And I thought, that is so freaking cool, man. Love these guys. And that's why their posters hanging in my bedroom. I said, if I ever do what they do, I'm going to really give value back to the people because I remember this moment, how cool it felt, you know? So I think if anything, metal people, 99.9% of the bands are down with the people. They're giving, they care. And that was my whole philosophy from day one with the demo tapes and sending them out hundreds by the week, even the pen pals in the back of magazines. People
Oh,
would ask for a free demo and I would send it to him because I knew he was in Tom's River, New Jersey or something. And if I sent him a free one, all his buddies would see what I sent him and I'd sign shit and give him buttons or pictures. And then, next week or so, I would start getting more and more. Um, I would start getting more and more orders from Toms River, New Jersey. So as I was into marketing and promotion way back then too, and it's a lovely thing, man. When you think about what music does with fans and how it relates to media like yourself and the levels of the media relations that you gain over the years, it's so important, man.
yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned, being down with the people, which leads me to a question, specifically about Florida, because, you mentioned the Tardy brothers coming on the record. I've interviewed John in the past, sweetheart of a guy. As far as Florida, I've bumped into guys from Death, for the better part of 30 years now. And everybody I've encountered from the Florida thrash scene has always been very cool, which leads me to a question because, you can understand why Black Sabbath came from Birmingham because Birmingham's a rough town, right? You understand why the Cro-Mags came out of New York City, the environment. But you cats are down there in Florida where, present circumstances notwithstanding, it's sunny, it's light, people go there to retire for a reason. But like the darkest, heaviest American metal has come out of Florida. Why do you think that is? How come a bunch of nice guys end up making the music that you guys make?
Well, I mean, there's a few elements, and one of them was when we broke out. There was a band called Avatar who turned into Sabotage, and we used to go watch them and thrash and slam dance and just turn on metal, turn it on, and just be rabid fans. And we would actually, there was another band called Argus we used to go see, and we'd give them like, hey man, you got to play this. And when they'd be playing Angel Witch, or they'd play, just different bands like that, we'd give them Black Sabbath and all that, but they'd start playing the new wave British metal and stuff, and it was really cool. And it inspired us. So all of a sudden, I wanted to be in a band, but I never really had the opportunity. So there was a band looking for a singer, and they were called Nightmare. And my buddy goes, "Yeah, you need to go try out for them." So I went there and I tried out for the band, and I sang two Iron Maiden songs and I never heard back from them. I was like, "Damn, guess I didn't make it." And then I was at a keg party a week later and I saw them there. So I went right up to them. I said, "Hey, man, you want me to be your singer or not?" And they go, "Yeah, we do." I go, "I'll be over Monday with a game plan." So I go over Monday to the jam house. I said, "Everybody out of the house, man. Everybody out." They're looking at me like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Everybody out but the band. And I go, they all leave, and I go, "Sit down, man. Let's sit on the floor, guys, like Indians and shit. Cross your legs, whatever, in a circle." I said, "The name of the band is Nasty Savage, and I'm Nasty Ronnie, the wildest singer ever. And we're gonna save our money. Did I tell you we're gonna save our money? We have a goal. We're gonna do a demo tape with 4 songs on it called Wage of Mayhem." I said, "And within 1 year, we're going to be signed to a record deal. We're going to be touring, and we're going to be getting fan mail from all over the world." I said, "Is everybody in?" They said, "Hell yeah." So it was on, man, to make all that shit happen and just blaze a trail because we really didn't have anybody to blaze a trail after. We had to blaze our own trail with no rules and marketing and promotion. So we just started doing shows and creating mayhem. The police would come and we'd start playing after they left. They'd come back again, and word got out that this band is, they're anti-establishment. They're fucking badass. They're smashing shit. We got the word out. So as we grew and started playing clubs and venues, more and more kids were coming and watching this, and shit like that would impact somebody. These kids now started buying guitars and drums, and they wanted to be in a band. And we were that first wave, man. We were the first wave that inspired that second wave. So we're in the 80s, coming into the later 80s. At that time, Chuck, Cam, and Rick, before they even had Mantis, even where they're in a band, they were up front at the London Victory Club coming from Orlando to Tampa, which is an hour away, and thrashing their asses off and being inspired and impacted by Nasty Savage. So along with them, there was guys in Deicide, Morbid Angel, and all these guys were watching, right? Now, if they're going to create music, why would they just settle on what we were doing? Let's take it to another level. And then there was already Venom that said, "You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to sing anyway. We're Venom." There was Possessed on the other coast. So it was that heaviness was already there besides Black Sabbath, I would say. And Maiden and Priest and all that. But these guys, that second wave, took it to an even more extreme level. I mean, there was a time when my mom said, "Hey, there's two boys at the door. They want to talk to you." And I go to the door, and there's two kids on bicycles. And they go, "Are you Nasty Ronnie?" I said, "Yeah." They go, "Well, we're John and Donald Tardy. We want to know how to start a band." I'm like, "Dude, you guys are brilliant. You came to the source, man." I go, "Let's get in my Chevelle over there, 70 Chevelle, my hot rod. We're gonna go to Lithia Springs. We're gonna throw the frisbee for about 5 hours, and I'm gonna tank. I'll teach you guys everything I possibly know." And them boys are successful, smart, and brilliant businessmen. So about 10 years later, they feature us in an animated video called 10,000 Ways to Die. They featured Nasty Savage. With all their success that they've had, they featured Nasty Savage. That video now has over 7 million views. And then they wrote a book with a chapter about Nasty Savage inspiration. And so those are the things. I'm very proud that next, and then they started all going to Morrisound Recording, and Scott Burns was, you know, born as this death metal icon producer. And when we recorded there, he was just an assistant, so he learned a lot. But also with Morrisound, all in came Sepultura, Destruction, all these bands. Agent Steel came in from California, and just more and more bands started recording there. And Crimson Glory and Sabotage Records, and it became an iconic place, and it became the metal capital of the world. And then it took it to the death metal capital of the world. So that's the thing. I think maybe we inspired them, but they did it on their own. I'm so proud that they took it to another level and became even more successful, harder workers, smarter workers than we ever were. Because we had bad management, and we were young and dumb and did a lot of stupid things that we didn't know what to do. And we had a management that really wasn't a management. It was Curtis's dad, and he just kind of held us back and fucked us up with the record deals at Metal Blade. But getting back to that 1 year plan I had is, I used to have a day job, and I was a shop foreman in this place, and I call my mom every day. I go, "Mom, do we get any mail today? Do we get any mail?" Because he used to come to 109 Mitchell Drive, and we'd do these shows, and then I'd send all this media out to all these magazines all over the world. I get killer pictures from shows. I'd get a demo tape, and then I'd get bio. I'd give a publisher everything they needed to do good stories. And of course, I get these packages like 3 months later on the cover of all these metal fanzines and shit. And then she goes, "Yeah, you got this package and that package. Oh, here's a letter from Metal Blade Records." I go, "Oh, open it, open it." And it was from Brian Slagle saying, "Hey, man, you guys have created a big buzz, and we want to put you on Metal Massacre 6 with that song Triple X. And then we want to follow it up with a album of your own." I was like, "Oh, man, all this happened within 1 year. We were getting fan mail, we were playing shows." So all that plan worked, but to have bad management stifled everything. Where Metal Blade wanted to sign us for 7 records, and he said, "No, you're only going to sign up my boys for 1 record, and then we'll renegotiate." So it was just, and then all the influx of other bands, they had more choices. Here we are coming out of Florida, out of the swamplands, and we're like, damn, people didn't understand what was happening from Florida, but they learned real quick about the second wave of metal and death metal that came out of Florida. I want to leave a legacy behind, man. So I'm thinking, what is the third wave? There's a lot of bands that are playing and playing and playing. I want to search them out and maybe create my own compilation album to feature the next wave coming from the swamps of Florida and the beaches of Florida. So it's kind of a goal I would like to do, to leave a legacy and maybe bring out the next wave. That unfortunately, a lot of these bands, they just think they show up with their gear and get a record deal, or they make it. It's not about all social media. You got to get out and prove you can pack a venue, prove you can make money for a bar owner. Someone's going to pay you one sooner or later, but you got to earn that shit, man. It's like if you're ever in prison, you got to earn respect, and you got to give it to earn it. And it's a lot of hard work, and there's no rules in marketing and promotion. So pull up your pants, tighten that belt, and work your ass off. And maybe you'll get there. But bands like Deicide, Morbid Angel, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Atheist, Nocturnus. I mean, there's so many others. Siren that came out of Brandon Heavy Metal, they've been there. It was a dog eat dog thing, man, and we still survived 40 years later.
Absolutely. And the majority of those bands you just mentioned came through when I was younger, like still in grade school. I lived in Jersey, and all those bands came through back in the day. And what stood out to me is most of those bands, when they were done playing, they wouldn't go hide backstage. You'd see them at the merch table or just walking around watching the other bands. And even somebody like me, 13 years old, could go up to the Cannibal guys and talk to them, you know, go up to the Death guys and talk to them. That was so impactful for me as a young kid. I never forgot that. And I think more bands today need to understand that. It's not just about liking a comment on Facebook, it's about being at your show and being with the audience. You've got to connect with those people. That's so important. I think that's kind of a lost art in a lot of ways. The metal guys seem to have it more together than most genres, but I think more bands in general got to, hold on to that spirit of being accessible to your audience, not just on social media. Being actually in the crowd talking to your people, I think, is so important.
But I mean, you got to be a politician, you got to be a promoter, you got to be a marketer, and then you got to be a guitarist or a singer or a drummer. Some people just can't fathom that kind of stuff, and they do what they do. Sometimes there's an early bus call. You got to haul ass. You don't have enough time. You got to really get to the next town. You just got business to take care of. But the best thing to do is give time to the fans. You know, they woke up that morning and decided that they're going to be there. They're conscious consumers that make a conscious decision to spend their money to buy a ticket for your show and buy your merchandise and be there and thrash, headbang, and cheer and scream. I mean, that's a big thing for people. It means a lot to some people take that for granted. Some people don't realize it because they're just going forward, forward, forward. But the smart people in life understand value and they understand a business and they understand music and it all kind of goes together. But being a politician like that, you got to shake hands, you got to kiss some babies, and you got to get their votes, to be your fan. And you got to earn that, man. And there's nothing fake or phony about that. There's some people that don't need to do that because they're so whatever great that they're just on this higher pedestal. But there's not many people like that. And I feel metal community are down with the people. I mean, when we were on that tour with DRI, 60 shows in 65 days. At the end of our set, I would say, by the way, we're looking for some place to stay tonight if anybody's got a place. And man, they'd come running up, man, stay at my house, stay at my house. So we'd get to stay with the people who loved us the most. I mean, what better thing to do in that? Whether it was a cold slab floor in South Central LA, we were with the people who love us the most. Or we'd go to Houston, Texas, and some girl would come and go, well, my daddy's in the oil industry and he's in Indonesia, so you could stay at our estate. And we'd go there. It was this multi-million-dollar home, with all kinds of cool cars and, man, just the best. Like, man, it was so much fun because we were staying with the people who loved it. Sometimes we have an extra day, we'd stay over, there'd be parties, people would skip school, they'd come there. And if we ever go back to that town, we just call ahead and we got anything we need because of the fans, man. It's the fan. They could sign the wall in my room or whatever. I mean, it was the greatest respect you could have is to create great relationships with people. And sometimes there's bands are just too big to do that, but when you're down and you're just in that groove, it's a wonderful thing, man. And another thing, you go on tour, you want to get home safe. You want to get home alive. Don't do stupid shit out there. Take care of business. There's plenty of stories of the guys who didn't do that. And I was always proud and happy that we always made it home safe and sound and alive, to see our loved ones and get back to our town.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know as of today, things are not as they were planned to be, with the band. with the equipment and everything and the weather and everything going on. All that said, what are your hopes for the band, say, within the next 6 months if things do get back on track quickly enough to make those things possible for you?
Well, we're just taking it step by step, because we aren't running out and doing a bunch of shows anyhow. But we do have a show coming up in November called Swarm Fest at the Brass Mug in Tampa. Bunch of bands are playing, and we're actually playing on Sunday night. It's a 3-day metal fest. And then we are playing Hell's Heroes in March in Texas. That's really exciting for us. And then I don't have a management company. I don't have a booking agency, sort of. I'm talking to a few people. So it's not like we're going to run out like the Energizer Bunny and start, you know, I'd really like to get on a tour where we could support someone that has a big following that could be turned on to Nasty Savage. Our record company's not the biggest, it's a smaller label, and the guy who just invested in us. And I'd really like to help his business grow. And I think it already has got him some more attention. But we're just taking it day by day. It's a celebration right now of the new album that just got released in a hurricane. It's like I was born in a crossfire hurricane, like that Rolling Stone song, Jumpin' Jack Flash. The record came out in the middle of a storm. Curtis died the day before that happened. You know, the storm hit. We just got back from Germany last week. I mean, a lot of things have happened, man. And now it's time to push onward and get like the help what you're doing today, getting the word out about Jeopardy Room. I'm inside the Jeopardy Room right now. You walk in this room and there's just nothing but doors. And which door do I take to get out? What is it about? What is the Jeopardy Room, man? Let me get out of this. Oh, I open that door and it's Operation Annihilate. Let me close that door and go down the hall. I open this door and it's the sixth finger. Man, let me go down this spiral staircase and it's down there. Oh, it's schizoid platform. But what is Jeopardy Room? Everyone knows that song that says, our love's in jeopardy, baby. Our love's in jeopardy. Or I got this title, Jeopardy Room, from a Twilight Zone episode. I was watching one night and it says Jeopardy Room. I said, oh, that's a killer title. That's where I got the idea for Jeopardy. So we've had abstract reality, we've had indulgence, we've had penetration point, and now we're inside the Jeopardy Room. And the Jeopardy Room is life every day, man. I'm driving in traffic. I got to get to work. I got to punch a time clock, man. And this guy's not letting me over. I got my blinkers on. Now I got stopped by another light, and there's a slow truck, and there's school buses. But then I got to buy shoes for my kids. Then I got to go into the grocery store and actually buy groceries that are 10 times the price now. The dollar, you got to figure out payments for this payment, my cell phone payment, rent's due. I mean, damn, just the relationships with your boss, with your wife, with your kids, just the relationships of I got something to do. Meanwhile, the sun's going to rise every morning. So that's the Jeopardy Room we're in, man. And that's what I wanted to write about. Everything going on in our lives. It's humanities, inhumanities. It's like if you go on Facebook, you see joy, you see sorrow, you see happiness, you see sadness, you see birth, you see death, you see hate, you see love. I mean, everything's in life that I could possibly think of that I wanted to push towards your senses to try to hit them with with this album. Like in 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 Schizoid Platform, there's a verse that says, in the land of the blind, one eye is king, all is one divine. The rhythm will set you free. Schizoid, humanoid, graveside crucified, Plato's stepchild, in the eyes of the sculpture, she freak double feature, sparrows bark the sun into being, leaf-laden trees screen out the moon. It's like, wow, what does that shit mean, man? What does it mean? It's like, that's what it's all about to me, man. It's like, come get you some, figure it out. Joy and sorrow today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time? You just gotta create, and I love to do that. Creative writing is where it's at for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Nasty Savage, as we've mentioned a couple of times already, is one of those classic bands. I don't ever remember a time where Nasty Savage wasn't discussed in terms of American thrash. You were kind of like what the Ramones were to punk. Like everybody knew Nasty Savage. You guys were the mainstays of this whole thing. Having said that, you've got this new record out. It's fantastic. The band sounds killer right now. Um, you're about 40 years into this at this point. What keeps you in the game? What keeps you having the enthusiasm for this that you had way, way back in the early 80s?
Well, man, it's like yesterday. Some guy said, "Man, have you ever thought about writing a book? You should have a book about all the shit you've done." I go, well, man, if I write the book, then I don't have the next chapter, and there's another chapter still to do. So it's like, why stop now? And then I feel I'm in the fourth quarter of life, man. At 60, I'm going to be 63 years old here in December, still smashing television sets, still drawing blood, still rolling in broken glass and swinging chains, and just the mayhem on stage is more intensified. If it's denied, man, it's more intensified. And I see a lot of people come and go, and they're gone. They've done what they've done. They've turned to dust. It's like, if I'm still breathing, you got to still do it. The passion for me, there was a bucket list to do another album, and I knew, because being a creator of words, I wanted to do it. I was enthralled. When I knew we had the record, I just started writing and writing, and every day I was researching it. I went through hundreds of pads of paper, man, and pens. I got to do it with a certain kind of pen, a flare pen that I like, a black flare pen that just feels so good on the paper. And it just is so cool when you go, oh, that word goes with this word. And, so you got to search it out. It's like in the song Indulgence. It's, uh, what's the line in Indulgence? Search for the answer. Oh, shit, I can't remember it right now. Or singing songs to please myself. All at once things seem so small. Your grief and mine must intertwine. Indulgence. Or penetration point, where it says, I live the night to wake up this morning. Weapons of thought from the clouds of a knowing. Naked target on the beam of life. Your personality comes with the sunlight. So it's like, every day, what personality does this guy have, or does that guy have? Or are you real enough to have that same personality? But did you live the night to wake up this morning? So when you do that, make the most of your day, man. If you're going to do it, do it. I got younger guys with me, and they give me energy. That music is what gives me energy to keep going. Walking through airports, and as long as I might have a cane to push through, because my hip might be bad, and I might be falling apart. I might be overweight, and I'm a big guy, but I got a big heart, man, and I like to give value, but give real stuff to people, emotions, and feed their passions. But I have a lot of passions too. So it's like Picasso. Picasso in his old age, when he knew he wasn't be around much longer, he produced more paintings, more etchings, more pottery, more sculptures. He did more than ever before. So maybe that's where I'm at now, is I want to produce even more. And I want people to feel that energy, and be inspired by it. And I think that's where I'm at. I can't write a book now because it's not over yet. I don't know if I'll ever write a book, because I'll never be done. It's like saying, oh, I'm the greatest, or that record's the greatest, or the best one. If you're saying that, you're done. Like when I produced the TV show, if I ever said, oh, that's the best show I've ever done, no way. The next one's got to be it, the next one. So, and just like with your work, you're a storyteller, and you're getting stories, and the questions you ask, you need people to elaborate properly, so people listening will go, man, that was killer. I can't wait to next week. And that's what I'm trying to give you, is some words, and help you tell stories. Sometimes you'll ask somebody, man, that was a killer album. I really liked it. Tell me about it. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. That just left you hanging for another quick question, rather than listening to a good answer. So I understand what it's about. And I want to keep search for the opening with despair, just I keep searching, and keep searching.
Right on, man. Well, listen, I know you've had one hell of a week, positive and negative. So I appreciate you giving me some time. I know we had to work on the tech a little bit, but you came through fine for the interview. And I'm going to let you go because I know you got a hell of a lot on your plate right now. So thank you for all of your time. Thanks for the new record. Rest in peace, Kurt, of course. And I'm going to spread the word about helping Pete with the jam. I'm going to put up all the links and make sure that, my audience contributes and people know what's up with that. And hopefully we can all help you guys out right now.
Well, Joe, I appreciate everything you do, and I know you've got a rich history of supporting metal and being there, and you've seen a lot of things before your eyes. In the Florida scene, it's just a pleasure to be able to share some words with you this morning, and you taking the time to tell the story of Nasty Savage, 40 years, and the new album Jeopardy Room. And we actually do have distributor now in America, and damn it, I can't think of the name, but we'll post that at our. There's a new distributor because everybody's been ordering from Europe, but there's a new something sinister, something. Damn it, heavy metal museum guy. Forget his name, but we'll post that at Nasty Savage Metal Nights or Nasty Savage Band Instagram. Once again, I thank you so much for everything, and we sure could use some help with Pete's gear and all the drums and all the stuff that got destroyed. There'll be a link on those platforms as well. We appreciate you spreading the word, brother. Keep up the great work.
You got it, buddy. Take care, be safe, and we'll talk again soon.
All the best.
Take care.